Tom, to add to what we were saying about with the ladybird deed is this. So we do a lot of ladybird deeds. We are about keeping it simple. We love the ladybird deed as a tool because it is a great tool to avoid probate. However, with that said, there are many, many times when we talk to a client that they may need something else in addition to because of their family circumstances. Or again, they, as we know, we can leave it to, for example, somebody says that they have 4 kids,
Right.
and those 4 kids don't necessarily get along, and they have certain requirements or instructions that they want to include with this. In those situations, when we have that 10-minute conversation, we can quickly determine, will the ladybird deed in and of itself be sufficient to accomplish their goals, or do we have to add something to it?
Chrissy, I think that's a great point because let's say Mary had 4 kids, and a ladybird deed is a great tool for avoiding probate on her home. It would state that as long as Mary is alive, it is her home to do with as she pleases. Upon her death, that home would automatically go to those 4 kids. No headaches, no hassles, no probate. But now these 4 kids, they're going to have to work together to decide whether they're
Correct.
going to keep it, sell it, rent it, buy each other out. If Mary said, "Hey, Tom, my 4 kids, they fight like cats and dogs. No way could they ever reach a mutual agreement on what to do about this house." Well, then we also do a land trust with it
Correct.
that could still going to avoid probate, but it's going to point one of her kids to sell that house, convert it to cash, and then split the cash between the 4 kids.
Exactly.
Would be a better plan in those
Exact. That's
circumstances.
exactly right. Why? Because it's our job to help our clients achieve their goals. Those goals really so many times depend upon their particular family circumstances.
Right.
And we don't know that until we have that 5 or 10 minute conversation.
Yeah.
We want to quickly give you the information you want from our end, which is what do you need and how much is it going to cost. But it requires that because here's what happens. If somebody then says, "Oh, you're just doing a ladybird deed," but then we talk to them, they're very disappointed when we're saying, this isn't going to work in your family situation, because other times people want instructions put
Right.
with it. Those instructions cannot be put in the ladybird deed. And or here's another thing. We want to give it to this one person or these 2 people, but if something happened to either of them, we want it then to go to minor grandchildren.
Exactly.
That can't be done in the ladybird deed.
Well, I'll tell you one other situation that occurs fairly often. That is that Mary came to us and said, "Hey, I've got 4 kids, and by the way, my son John lives with me.
Exactly.
And if I were to
I was
pass
about to say
away,
that.
I don't want John to be booted out of the house overnight.
Correct.
I want to let John live there for a year while he
Correct.
figures things out."
Correct.
That would be another situation where we do a ladybird deed and a land trust to go with it to give her son John some rights to live there for a year before it really belongs to all 4 kids.
That's exactly right. And Tom, thank you for adding because I wanted to add that one as well. That one is more common than ever, where there is at least one of the adult children, and you're right. I mean, there could be 3 kids, 4 kids, whatever, but one adult child is living with mom. And they're again back to instructions. The instructions of what mom wants for that one child living there. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's longer. And the instructions include, again, maybe there's a responsibility of that adult child to pay taxes, maintenance, and insurance.
Right.
That has to be, again, put in a different document. That cannot all be put in the ladybird deed.
Right.
And here's the thing that we are about. You can't just say, "Oh, they'll figure it out." Why? We wish we could say that. However, that's not reality. And more than ever that we encountered in these last, even 5 years, more than ever, there are issues among adult children. those issues, if you don't put things in writing, it will be a mess.
Chrissy, all great points. Mary, great question. Thank you for calling us today. Hey, folks, my name is Tom Olsen. The name of the show is Olsen on Law. You're listening to WDBO. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few minutes.